Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. If you haven't already, please make sure you like, comment, and share the vids, and of course subscribe. I have with me 24/7 Boxing Highlight. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, good. What about you?
I'm all good, thank you very much. Guys, as well, he now has a YouTube channel. I'll put his YouTube channel link at the end of this video. So make sure you, click on it and subscribe because he has now started releasing videos as well. So really exciting. And we'll be doing some collaborations, I'm sure, in the future as well. So it'll be nice. Cool. So
Exactly.
we're going to cover AJ versus Pulev and go through kind of our reaction and just talk a little bit about the talking points and also break down the fight. So first of all, actually, mate, what did you think would be AJ's approach going into the fight?
Well, I thought that he would box, and he boxed. He took the center of the ring from round one. He did very good. He outboxed Pulev. However, well, Pulev looked old in my opinion. Uh, he was headhunting way too much. He should have worked the body. If he worked the body, he could have probably slowed down Joshua, and he could have made it a competitive fight. But Pulev did not have the a good game plan at all. So Joshua was light on his toes, on his feet, very bouncy, sticking and moving, beautiful boxing, beautiful angles. The jab was present, the right hand was present, and the right uppercut was present, and it was just easy work for him.
Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
was. I can personally say I don't mind saying it that I'm a big AJ fan because I've been to a few of his fights, and when I watch him, I do get a little bit of uh, nervousness around me because, especially after the Ruiz fight, there's a little bit of if he gets caught, what's going to happen. I think Pulev caught him with a few right hands, but he seemed fine from it.
Yeah.
I think the first part of the fight, you're right. He took the center of the ring and he kind of boxed. I think the first round was really cagey.
Mhm.
Nothing really happened. They were just sizing each other up. But then after that, we kind of saw, in my opinion, a blend between the Joshua who fought Ruiz the second time, where he, as you said, was light on his toes, boxed and moved and kind of punched while he was moving. Just jabbing, maybe a 1-2, but nothing really too, extensive. Not the combination punching we're used to seeing from him.
Yep.
And then we saw that, but with a mix of the old Joshua, which was the combination punching, those uppercuts. So that was quite interesting. I thought it was that for me was the biggest question that I had before to see was he going to be able to, kind of switch between those styles seamlessly without looking awkward or getting caught in kind of strange moments in distance or like in between phases. But he, for me, looked quite good. I thought in between. One thing I wanted to get your opinion on, kind of technically, is that before the fight, Pulev, a lot of people are saying Pulev has his right hand in front of his chin. So what they were saying is that because he does that, the left hook is a very good shot to use against him, which Klitschko did, which knocked him out. AJ didn't really seem to use that shot at all, which I thought was a little bit surprising. Obviously, he got the job done. Were you a little bit surprised he didn't utilize it though?
No, because because I don't listen to fights with commentary, so
Okay.
I usually listen to fights on mute or in foreign languages, you know.
Okay.
But
No bias then, is it?
exactly right. So uh, what I was seeing and what I think AJ was seeing is that Pulev would fight with a pretty open guard because he
Yeah.
keeps his hand fairly forward and his chin is high up. That's the thing. Pulev does not fight with his chin down. So I think that AJ just saw that the jab was landing and the right was landing. So he instead of going through the sides, he would go down the middle. And on top of that, Pulev tends to fight on his back foot a lot.
Mm.
So he would back up, you know. So if a hook is coming, he could just lean back. It's a very Russian, like Eastern European style of fighting with your hands, like the left hand forward,
Yeah.
the right hand protecting the chin, and it's lots of rocking forward and back. It's a very European style,
Mm.
Eastern European style to rock forward and back. So yeah, if AJ used his hook, it would have been better for him, but I don't think he needed to do it. So I think he fought well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I was watching the fight and I was just thinking to myself, especially when he dropped him the first couple of times in the third round, I was
Yeah.
thinking, oh, maybe he can just utilize that, just as a little surprise or just mixing up a little bit. But obviously he managed to get the job done. So if
Mhm.
we talk about that third round, obviously the shot that really did the damage was that right uppercut that he utilized throughout the whole fight. Really, obviously it's very famously known that he has a good uppercut after, we always see that shot of him obviously hitting Klitschko with that right uppercut, which didn't knock him out, but it shook him to his core, and it's that, showing Klitschko's neck kind of extend.
Yep.
Yeah, which is, yeah, it just looks like an incredible shot. What did you think of that round, firstly? Because Pulev, when he, I think the first time it was a standing count, the second time he got knocked down, but throughout
Yep.
the whole thing, he was kind of like, I think almost like screaming a little bit, but he was smiling. You're just really manic, very like
Mhm.
very, yeah, not evil. I don't want to say evil, but very crazy looking, let's say. And obviously, just I don't know whether it was to give off the air of, what, I'm not hurt, and actually he was, and he was trying to pretend not to be, or whether he's just that crazy. But can you touch upon that? And also, actually, what do you think of Joshua's knockdowns? Did he set them up quite well?
Well, I think that after that, the standing eight and after the knockdown, well, after round three, basically, I
Mm,
feel that Anthony Joshua's confidence went up, and Pulev's confidence went down.
mm,
Like I think that Pulev got broken down mentally as well
mm,
as physically, uh, and that was basically like after that round. I don't think Pulev knew what to do after that.
mm.
So he was probably taunting AJ, but when a fighter gets hit hard or gets knocked down, they'll always nod their head as if they're doing a no. Like nodding
Yeah.
the head left to right, and that's when you know a fighter got hurt. That's when you know a fighter got hurt because they're trying so hard to keep their poker face on. But yeah, but that's how you know they got damaged, though. So
Yeah, it's really interesting because they smile, right? A lot of the time when they, or what they do is, as you said, they shake their head to say, no, you didn't hurt me. But it's, as you said, it's normally the case that actually it has hurt them,
yep,
but they're shaking their head to say, it hasn't really hurt me, just to make sure they know. But whether it's rocked them or not, it doesn't matter. But it's hurt them, like they felt it. Obviously, it's caught them flush.
yep,
Um, and he was smiling, and I was just looking at him, and I was watching actually with my younger brother, and we were both saying to each other like, "This guy's crazy," because he was just like laughing, and as you said, he was taunting Joshua throughout the whole fight, and obviously beforehand there was obviously a ruckus beforehand as well. And I think actually Pule was silly because in a way, I think by really like basically pissing off Joshua, really, he just ended up having a Joshua come into the fight thinking, you know what, I'm gonna take his head off
yep.
and I want to knock him out. And I'm not going to just stop. And you could see that in the third round where he really went after him. And obviously, he didn't get the finish because, let's be honest, I think, as you said, Pulev's old, but he's one tough SOB, I have to say.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, what did you think? Were you surprised that he managed to withhold that much punishment in that third round? And he recovered relatively well for the next few rounds.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised. I thought it would go to 12 rounds because Kubrat Pulev's is a tough veteran. He has an extensive amateur career, a pretty long pro career. So I knew that as a veteran he would be able to bounce back from that knockdown. And on top of that, it was at the end of the round, so he had a full minute to recover. But yeah, I thought I would see them go the distance, but Joshua was able to knock him out in the ninth, and he did good work, And also, a reason why he probably smiled after he got knocked down is because he got caught by surprise, So it's like it could have also been like, oh shit, you got me good, you know what I mean? It could have been something like that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, it was a lot of the commentators after, so Carl Froch, not commentator, sorry, pundit anyway, after said that he thought Joshua kind of let Pulev into the fight a little bit after that third round. Um, they were saying maybe he took a few rounds off. I do think that in that third round, he did really go for the kill.
Yep.
And I do think he probably expended a little bit of energy, probably more than he was expecting to. And he probably thought he was going to be able to take him out. And when he
Mhm.
didn't, I think in the fourth and fifth round, especially, I did see a noticeable kind of, less activity from him for sure. Kind of going forward, I could see he was obviously pumping out the jab, but not as regularly. I didn't think he was in the center of the ring as much. Pulev managed to clip him a few times with a few decent 1-2s. At
Yep.
this point in the fight, when you're watching, are you thinking, okay, Pulev? Because at that point, it looked like his head had cleared, like his legs weren't looking shaky. He might have been a little bit hurt, but he wasn't. It didn't look like he wasn't stumbling around the ring. Did you think,
Mhm.
okay, we might have another fight here? This might still go to 12, and we'll have to see what happens from here.
No, I didn't think so because I'll explain why. Because uh, Joshua has a longer reach than Pulev, so Pulev has to get on the inside to get that work. However, when Pulev got on the inside, Joshua would just clinch every single time. He would clinch. So that was very good utilization of the clinch from AJ. So he did very good work there. And on the outside, AJ was sticking his jab, sticking the right, taking his angle. So I feel that Joshua did enough to win those rounds just by hitting and moving, and neutralizing Pulev on the inside. So
Yeah, I agree
yeah,
with you. I think the reach advantage definitely, well, was was to Joshua's advantage, especially on the night because he utilized it. I think, especially in patches, very well. Utilized the distance well, and it wasn't. As I said, look, Pulev had those 1-2 combinations that he utilized quite well, but apart from that, he threw a couple of really wild left hooks which obviously he'd seen the Ruiz fight before that first one and saw that left hook did the damage and was probably thinking that might be the shot. Because especially to be fair, even with Joshua, I don't think he doesn't always cover the side of his right side all the time. He does sometimes kind of drop it a little bit lower. I don't know whether it's laziness or it's more just to do with the style of him boxing when he's maybe looking to move forward and jab etc. between phases. But I think that's something that he was looking to utilize. But every time Joshua kind of telegraphed it and ducked and weaved quite well, and I think he held quite well when he knew that okay, I might be in trouble. So he just thought, okay, I'll quickly hold Pulev, then come out, and then I'll fight from there. And I think it was quite an intelligent fight from him. Did you see a noticeable increase in Joshua's boxing IQ?
yeah. Well, yeah, I have actually. Like, I like the fact that he's light on his feet. You know, like heavyweights who are light on their feet are pretty rare, which is why they give difficulty to most heavyweights because most heavyweights are flat-footed, right? Which is why, for example, Tyson Fury gives so much difficulty to everyone, right? Because he's so elusive. He's able to stick his jab, move his feet, be slick, and I feel that. Anthony Joshua is starting to do the same thing. He's being less flat-footed, which is terrific for him because it enables him to take angles faster and smoother, right? So as he takes angles, he's able to counter better and more efficiently, right? So yeah, I think that he's actually getting better. He's getting better with time.
Yeah, I agree. I think for me personally, that's probably the best Joshua I've seen actually, just
Yep.
because obviously, he didn't blow him out there in 1 or 2 rounds, but we're talking about levels here, and Pulev is probably just below. I would say you've got your Tyson Fury and your Joshua, and then Wilder was up there. I think he's now slightly below, and then you've got those types of people, and I think he's probably one rung below. He's in that kind of bracket with Povetkin and people like that.
Yep.
I don't think he's necessarily maybe as quick and as explosive as Povetkin, but he's very tough. He's big. Obviously, I think he's got better jab, etc. As you said, I think AJ with that reach advantage and height advantage, he utilized it well. Obviously, so we get to that ninth round, and AJ, I think, he was biding his time. I thought a lot of people thought he took rounds off, but I just thought, look, he doesn't want to expend too much energy if he doesn't see the opening. I think it was more calculated for me personally. Did you think that as well? Did you think he did take a few rounds off?
Well, yeah. Well, if he like we said earlier, he spent lots of energy in round three. So he did very well to manage his energy, right? Because what a smart boxer does is they manage their energy to bring it all the way to 12 rounds. And what they'll do is they'll win as many rounds as they can out of those 12 rounds, right? They won't rely on a knockout. And I feel like early on in his career, AJ would rely on his knockouts because he was knocking everyone out. But after that Andy Ruiz fight, after those two fights, he learned a lot and he grew a lot. So I feel that now he's relying more on his boxing ability rather than his power. So with that, I find that very good.
Yeah, I agree. It's more of a blend rather than just having to rely on bludgeoning people, which obviously you could when you're coming up and you're facing people that aren't of that level. So we got to
Hmm.
the ninth round, and again, it was the uppercuts that did the damage in that first knockdown anyway. And you're kind of thinking after that, okay, he's going to go for the kill. And pretty much as soon as Pulev gets up, Joshua hits him with a 1-2, and the right hand just goes straight through the guard, and he's on his back.
Yep.
And you're just thinking, that's it, it's done. Were you impressed with that finish, number one? And number two, did you think, look, were you impressed actually with the victory as a whole?
I find that he fought a very good fight. It's one of the best Anthony Joshua's that I've seen. Um, the victory, because the thing is, Pulev's old, right? He's 39 years old. I know in heavyweight years it's not the oldest there, but he's pushing 40, so he didn't look that much in shape. So I find that was an okay victory. It wasn't like as
Okay.
if he beat like a Wilder.
Yeah.
Like if he beats a Wilder, like I'll give it to him.
Mm.
But yeah, I would like to see him fight people at a higher level or
Yeah.
younger people as well. But he did what he had to do,
Yeah.
and
I mean, it's a
it
mandatory
was good.
defense, right? I guess. And you're
Yeah,
right. I think you want to see him. Well, let's be honest, and we're going to touch upon it in a little bit, but the only person we want to see is Tyson Fury. And I think above Pulev, you've only really got one, or one kind of rung of heavyweights, and really you're looking at the Fury and maybe Wilder, although Wilder's out of the picture at the moment anyway. But the
yep,
one thing I'd say, actually, I do agree with you. I think obviously he is touching 40, so he's not in necessarily the prime of his career. Um, in terms of shape, though, I personally thought that he was in the best shape I've seen him in, just because I've seen him in other fights and he looked a little bit, not podgy. I think that's a bit harsh, but he looked like he was carrying a bit of extra weight.
mm,
In this one, he came in at 17 stone 1 pound,
yep,
and if you looked at when I saw him, especially in the weigh-in, he looked very very trim. That's what maybe why I think he was able to recover from those knockdowns as well. But I do agree. Obviously, I don't think he's ever been the quickest fighter anyway.
no,
That's his
hmm,
style is that Eastern European style, as you mentioned previously. But I think 100%. Obviously, he's not. I think look, he's not obviously not in his prime, and if this was Kurat Pulev, 4 or 5 years ago, obviously Joshua wouldn't have been as experienced as well. So I think it was just one of those things that there was a combination of factors, but he had to get him out of the way.
yep,
So I think it was impressive on the whole. I know you thought it was an okay victory, and I can see why, especially from guys in the US as well who are looking at it probably thinking, okay, fair enough, but as you said, he hasn't smashed a Wilder, etc. Um, okay, so basically after the fight, they asked him, "Look, who do you want?" And I think he just said, "Look, whoever's got the belt, who at the moment." So he said, "Look, if it's Tyson Fury, let it be Tyson Fury." Tyson Fury. I don't know if you've seen the video of Tyson Fury in his Christmas jumper saying,
yeah, I saw that.
"You see it?" Him saying,
Yeah,
I'll smash him. I'll knock him out within 3 rounds." The big bum dosser basically saying it, and he said, he basically said, Joshua pooed himself. Um, when they asked him the question, obviously he really wants it. And I think Bob Arum also came out and he's put an official tweet out or Instagram, whatever it is, saying on his social media for Top Rank, saying, "Look, this is probably the biggest fight since," I think he said, uh, Muhammad Ali versus Joe Fraser,
hmm,
like the biggest heavyweight fight since then, and for all the belts, etc. And we're going to make it do everything we can to put this fight together. Eddie Hearn said the same thing. So my first question to you is: Do you think we're going to see it next?
I really hope so, man. I really hope so. But I think that I wouldn't be surprised if Eddie Hearn says, "Oh, we'll need to build the fight first, so we need a tune-up." Um, but because
You're
I
not a
know
fan of
that
Eddie Hearn?
I'm not a fan of Eddie Hearn just because his bread and butter is AJ, right?
Yep.
We'll be honest about it. So
Yep.
he tries to coddle him a lot, right? So that's one thing I don't really like.
Okay.
But yeah, but one thing I like about Eddie Hearn is that he makes fights happen. So he works with the other promoters,
Yeah.
So that's very good. But I really do hope that we see that next. Like maybe in the summertime. But with this whole COVID situation, that could also play a role, saying, "Oh, we can't sell enough tickets or whatnot. We can't fill up arenas." So that could be an argument
Yeah,
from the AJ from the AJ side, from Eddie Hearn. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see this after COVID, like 2022,
you think?
2023.
Do you know what
Yeah.
I think? I think what's going to happen, and I'm hoping this is
Hmm.
what's going to happen,
Hmm.
is so I understand what you're saying about crowds, and I think that's actually the reason why, for example, Tyson Fury wasn't able to fight in the UK because he was due to fight here, then he got cancelled, and they thought it's because of the mediation going on between Fury and Wilder, but it actually isn't. It's to do with Frank Warren admitted that it's because they couldn't get the money together. So obviously the
Yep.
money that they got together, Fury was like, "This is way below what I'm willing to accept," which is fair enough because it was
Yep.
probably I think AJ did take a cut, but it was probably a case of he took a certain percentage of a cut, and Fury probably wanted something similar, but the money that Frank Warren got together was way below that. Because I think in the UK at the moment, Matchroom is the bigger promotional company, and so they've probably got better reserves in terms of funds, etc. And obviously they managed to get 1,000 people in, but that wouldn't have made too much of a difference. But AJ's got his endorsements, etc., whatever it is,
Yep.
so they managed to do it. But I think what's going to happen is, hopefully, we will get the fight next. Um, but as you said, the crowds is the biggest thing, and I think it will be in the well, in the Middle East.
Yep.
So probably
Yep.
Saudi Arabia, because crowds don't matter there because it's all to do with the site fee. And what will happen is, obviously, as I said, crowd doesn't matter, so it'll just be whoever's there, and the fighters will get enough money from it. And then what will happen, hopefully, is that maybe later in 2022, we're looking at kind of November, December, or whenever it is, then we can have it here in the UK
Yep.
with a crowd. Because I know you guys in the US probably really want it over there, but because they're both UK fighters, I think it'd be a massive shame as a UK, as someone who lives in the UK, but just because they're both UK fighters, not to have it in the UK and not to sell out Wembley Stadium. Like
Exactly.
90,000
90,000.
people to see. Exactly. It'd just be incredible. I've been to Wembley Stadium to see AJ fight, and it's just incredible. And just thinking of seeing, Fury versus AJ, where you're going to have, it's not going to be a case of, everyone's cheering for one person, everyone's booing for the other. No, it'll be half and half, whatever you want to say, and it will just be incredible. So I'm hoping that my optimistic outlook is going to come true, and I can understand why you're saying 2022, 2023. I'm just hoping that because everyone wants it. Normally, what happens is, there's someone that doesn't want it or someone's making an excuse. But the fact that everyone has come out and said we want this fight next kind of makes me think it will happen. The biggest issue for me though is Usyk and the WBO belt. So
Oh
I want
yeah,
your
yeah, yeah.
opinion on this actually because a lot of people are saying, look, Usyk said, I'm going to try enforce. He said it beforehand. He hasn't said it, I don't think, since the fight, but he said before, I'm going to enforce the mandatory. I'm not going to step aside, etc. So everyone said, look, if that happens, then AJ should drop the belt. Now, the issue with that, I personally wouldn't mind because I think we can both agree that's the biggest fight, right? But the issue is that AJ, the whole time, has said, this is my road to undisputed. And so he's obviously worked his way to that. And then to drop a belt, I don't know if he'd do that. So I wanted to get your opinion on that. Whether you think if that does get in the way, do you think he'll drop the belt?
Uh, it really depends. It really depends because money talks in boxing, right?
Yep.
So they could probably give Usyk some step aside money, but Usyk's ego might say, "No, I don't want the step aside money. I want to fight for the belt." Uh, but if they fight for that belt, AJ puts his belt at risk, and if he loses to Usyk, the super fight between him and Fury will be off. So I think their best bet here is to give Usyk some step aside money, or for AJ to drop the belt.
Yeah, I agree. I think the only situation that I can see where you might get the best of both worlds is if the first fight they fight for all the belts, and the second fight, basically the day after the first fight, they drop the WBO belt and just say, well, we've already decided who's undisputed. We've already done that. the second fight obviously is technically undisputed anyway, even though we dropped a belt, so it doesn't matter. It's a rematch, right?
Yeah.
So I'm hoping maybe that's what will happen, but we'll see. I mean, here in the UK, obviously, as you can imagine, it's kind of ramping up now after that, and everyone's
Yeah.
thinking, okay, is this going to happen if it's not? So before we wrap up this part of the segment, then, who do you think is going to win if that fight does happen next, and why?
Fury and AJ, or
Yeah,
AJ
Fury and AJ.
Oh, Fury, hands down, hands down, hands down, hands down. For me,
You're very
when
confident. I can see you're a
yeah,
big
yeah,
Fury fan.
yeah. Like Fury's the number one heavyweight in my opinion. Uh, when Fury had no belts before the Wilder fight, when Wilder had the WBC, and when AJ had all the other belts, this was 2018 probably. I was telling everyone, yo, Fury is a number one heavyweight. Although he has 0 belts right now, he's a number one heavyweight. I think he had like some WBC franchise belt or something like that.
I don't know. I think he had. So so he said basically, I've got the lineal belt.
Yeah, he had some kind of,
which basically isn't a belt, but it's like a status, right? Because he said, "I beat the
right.
man who beat the man who's Klitschko."
Exactly. So he had some paper belt, right? But for me, yeah, Fury's the number one heavyweight. On top of that, he knows how to be aggressive now. That's just the cherry on top. It's just a cherry on top. For me, he's the number one. He hits and moves. He's slick. He's light on his feet. He has so much confidence in himself, and that confidence is very, very important for a fighter. If you look at, for example, Muhammad Ali had confidence. Tyson had confidence. Floyd Mayweather had confidence, and these are the fighters who really outperform the others, right? And yeah, I honestly think Fury's going to win. Who do you think is going to win?
Oh, no, you can put me on the spot. It's a difficult one because I think I'm a big AJ fan. I can't lie to you, but I do love Tyson Fury. I think
Yeah.
Look, I would want AJ to win. What my ideal scenario would be that they win one apiece and they do a trilogy. That would be great. But I think if you're looking at it subjectively, I think for me it's probably 60-40 for Fury in terms of percentages of who would win that fight. You're right though, because Fury obviously has added something to his game. He's got that more aggressive nature in it that we know now, that Kronk style that he's obviously adopted, that he can utilize. And similarly, Anthony Joshua obviously has picked up something that obviously Fury's been very well known for doing, which is that kind of fleet-footedness and being light on his toes. So they've both got hybrid styles now. They've got styles that they can both use, and they can switch between the two. It's just a case of who can perform better on the night. And I do think, obviously, because Fury has beaten Wilder, I mean, he beat him once, and the first one, I mean, I think most people can say he won that fight, even though it was a draw. So I think it's a hard one. If I was to put money on it, then I'd probably go Fury. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I said 60-40. I'd love to see. I think maybe if I'm trying to think who's better to win, so there's definitely a second fight. And I don't know. I think if either fighter wins, they'll probably be happy to do the second fight. It's just how they win. If someone gets knocked out within 3 rounds, like Tyson Fury's saying, then there won't be a second fight probably. There may be, but I just think the appeal of it will go down for that second fight. But if it's like it's a fire fest or whatever, or it's a good boxing match, and then someone gets knocked out in the 9th, 10th round, for example, and it's just because it is an action-packed fight though, then and it's competitive, then I think you can see that. But I don't know. Ask me when it happens. I'll change my mind probably. I'll change my mind. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Before we wrap up, is there anything you want to touch upon?
No, that's about it, man. Everything seems complete. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you very much. Yeah, guys, if you haven't, please check out 247 Boxing Highlight on Instagram and also now on YouTube. And yeah, I'll be subscribing straight away as well. So don't worry. Make sure you click subscribe button for my channel, of course, and also for 24/7 Boxing Highlight. As I said, I'll put it at the end of this video, the subscription buttons for both of us. So check them out. And yeah, stay safe. And thank you guys for watching. And thanks very much for being on.
Thanks for having me, man.
No worries. I'll catch up to you soon, yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks very much.